To not have to connect to a Microsoft account when installing Windows 11, the first thing we need to do is not be connected to the internet during the installation process. I am installing Windows 11 22H2 as a virtual machine using Microsoft Hyper-V. To see how this is done, please refer to my video on that subject. I have made one change in that I set the virtual switch to not connected to avoid having an internet connection while installing. Since this is a new install on a virtual machine, once I start the VM I need to press a key so that we boot to the ISO file that contains the installation of Windows. I will leave the defaults here of English US and click Next. Here I will simply click Install Now. Now we wait a moment. If you have a product key for Windows, you can type it in here. If you do that, you will not see the next screen. I will be clicking the I do not have a product key for this installation. Since I clicked I do not have a product key, I was presented with a list of Windows versions to install. I am choosing the Windows 11 Pro because I will use this VM for tutorials on group policies. Now click Next. Check mark to accept the license, then click Next. Because this is a new install, we are going to click on Custom, Install Windows Only, Advanced. This is the 30 GB virtual hard drive I set up in the video on creating a Windows 11 virtual machine. Click Next. Windows is now installing. How long this takes depends on your computer, especially the location of the virtual hard drive and ISO file. This country or region screen is where technically we can do what is required to skip the Microsoft account. I will continue so that you can see what you get otherwise. We will return to this screen in a bit. I will leave it at United States and click Yes. Leaving it on US for the keyboard and clicking Yes. Click Skip unless you need to add an additional keyboard. Since we don't have an internet connection, this is where most people get stuck. What you need to do is hold down the Shift key and tap the F10 key. Even though the command prompt screen is on top, it does not have focus. To give it focus so you can type in it, simply click on it with your mouse. That makes the title of the screen text turn black instead of gray, so now you can type. You will also notice that the close window X in the upper right is now highlighted in red. The command we are typing is OOBE/bypass NRO and pressing Enter. The computer or virtual machine will now reboot. We are now back to the choose country or region. I will click Yes again, leaving it on United States. Yes to a US keyboard layout. Skip adding a second keyboard. Now we have a similar screen to before, except we have the option to click I don't have internet. Click that to continue. Now click Continue with limited setup. Now we can name who we sign in as. Type whatever you want as the primary user for this computer. You can add more users later if you want. I will simply use owner and click Next. I am skipping a password. I suggest doing this as there will be some updates to Windows that require rebooting the computer. You can go in and add a password to the account later. Click Next. Personally, I turn off everything in the Microsoft privacy settings. You can always go in and turn them on if you need them later. Click Next to keep the defaults or make your changes like I did and click Accept. You will need to scroll to see all of the settings. The computer or VM will again reboot. This one will take a bit of time. You now have a working version of Windows 11 that is running a local account, not connected to a Microsoft account. I am going to do one more step for those using Hyper-V to run Windows in a virtual machine. Note that in the lower right to the left of the time and speaker icon I have the no internet access/no connections available. If you are not running Hyper-V, simply plug in your internet cable or connect to your Wi-Fi. To get the internet working in Hyper-V, I will click File then Settings in the upper left of the Hyper-V window. Now I click on the network adapter on the left, then on the right change the not connected to default switch and click OK. Now you can see on the bottom right the icon changed to show we have network/internet access.